Hey guys, it's time for Project 13. I'm going to use this as a stepping stone for our final project and work on some technologies that I want to have in place for that. I have a goal to be able to use a VR headset in order to control parameters in Ableton Live. Each controller has 6 degrees of freedom, and you've got that on this controller, as well as this headset. So that's 18 different parameters we should be able to control if we want to map those into Ableton Live. There's a lot going on with this project, so I'm going to jump right in. In order to get started, I created a Max Midi Effect. I've created this backend code in order to be a server for the web services as well as the module that will control Max. So if we look in here, the way that you hook Node into the Max API is by requiring this device right there. After that, you've got commands that you can use to send messages or handle messages coming in from Max. So if you look here, this says Max add handler play, and we look over here, when I hit play, it sends a message into the script that then calls this code and starts executing whatever code that I have. Now for the parameters, like we have the 3 controls I showed you, head, right, and left, and position and rotation. So if the parameter change gets called, it picks one of the controls at random, one of the transforms at random, and then chooses a value between 0 and 1 within that range and sends it for X, Y, and Z. Once you start the script and the parameter change happens and comes in and gets sent as what they call an outlet into Max, that comes over here, comes out right here. There's 2 options, either play a note or do a control parameter change. For parameter controls, the control goes down to the second line here, and then it routes it by whether it's a head or right or left control, and then that goes into one of these. And each one of these is identical, so I'll just show you this left one here. It then routes it by position or rotation. So over here is position, over here is rotation, and these values that get sent in get mapped over to here, and then these numbers here by X, Y, and Z and X, Y, and Z, these are the device parameters IDs in Ableton. So in order to look at that, there's a cool website over here called Ableton Device Parameter Finder. And if I come down here to Wavetable, inside you have all these different numbered devices like 7, 4, 5, 6, 3, and 8. These map to oscillator 1. The other thing is I said that I want to be able to serve this over a web server. So I made a little dummy web server here. Now I've got a little site that I can actually start the piece. It's the same play functionality that you get here, but it's from a web browser. And then also I can pick which controller, and I can pick which rotation or pick which transform I want to use, position or rotation, and then pick send values to it. Left is oscillator 1. If I come over here to oscillator 1, and we said Y is going to control the position in the table here, left is going to control the panning. So if I send a value of 0.2, it should be panned left, and 0.9 should raise this up to one of the higher points of the table. So let's hit send and see what happens. Yep, there it goes. So you see it's panned pretty hard left, and it's up higher in the table. This is just like proof of concept. I'm able to control it over a web browser, which is going to be, instead of a web browser, it's going to be a VR app that's going to be sending the server this information. So then the server is connected into the Max patch, and then the Max patch is connected into Ableton. So we're able to control all those things through these routes. Pretty nifty. But instead of using the VR headset, I decided to use some generative AI in order to get some music for this week's piece. We've got 750 notes that we're going to get triggered when we hit the button that gets spread out over a minute, which is 60,000 milliseconds, and it goes to this generate notes command. In the generate notes command, it outlines the structure of the piece. So first of all, there is a 30% chance that it's going to change parameters. And if it's before 10 seconds or after 50 seconds, then we're using the octave pitch set. If it is between 35 and 42 seconds, we're using a minor 7th. If it's between 10 and 20 seconds, we're using major 7th pitch set. And then if any times outside of that, we're just using random chromatic pitches within the range of MIDI note 45 to 80. The play goes over here to play root, which basically these values get set by whatever comes in, and then it preps them into a note and sends the note out, which is a MIDI pitch, velocity, and duration.